Good morning, and welcome to the National Football Foundation announcement of the 2012 Hall of Fame class hosted by Nasdaq OMX with support from the Orange Bowl, Troutman Sanders LLP, and XOS Digital. Today's agenda will include welcome remarks from our hosts here at Nasdaq, as well as the CEO and president of the NFF, Steve Hatchell. We're also going to get an update on the new College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. We'll also announce the winner of the 2012 NFF Distinguished American Award, and of course, we'll also announce the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame class from the Football Bowl subdivision. Before we get started, it's now my privilege to introduce David Wicks. He's the Vice President of the Nasdaq Marketsite Global Programs and Events, and we're very fortunate to get a chance to work with David and his people who do a first-class job here each and every year. We also want to send a special thank you to Senior Vice President Bob McCooey from Nasdaq, who's been instrumental in lending his support, allowing us to make use of these state-of-the-art facilities for the past 4 seasons. David? Okay, we're going to integrate David. I'm just being told we're going to integrate David a little bit later. So instead, let me introduce and honor the president and CEO of the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame, Steve Hatchell. He's been at the helm of these organizations now for the past 7 years. He's garnered universal acclaim in his efforts to really promote the NFF and position it as a sounding board and a voice for the promotion of amateur football. Simply put, he's one of the best athletic administrators in this country today, and someone who eats, breathes, and sleeps college football. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Hatchell.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to have you with us. And Jesse, thanks for joining us. We appreciate that a lot. We've got a lot of quarterbacks we've been honoring lately, so we thought we ought to have one here for our MC as well, so it makes it nice. Good to have all of you here, and on behalf of our chairman, Archie Manning, and our board of directors, and the 12,000 members that make up our chapter system throughout 47 states, a big thank you to all of you for joining us on this very rainy day here at Nasdaq. It's an exciting time. We have the opportunity to announce the 2012 Football Bowl Subdivision Hall of Famers, and it's a great moment for us, and it's a great opportunity for us to reconnect with those that made the game great. And we have a couple that have joined us here this class. We have 14 players and 3 coaches for the Hall of Fame this year, and you'll get a chance to see and hear more from them. I'd like to take a moment just to recognize some of the VIPs that are here, which mean a lot. And frankly, we've been able to extend the reach of the National Football Foundation the last few years because our family has grown, and our family has grown with a lot of very wonderful people. As Jesse mentioned, Nasdaq, wonderful partners, Bob McCooey, David Wicks, thank you. We have new supporting sponsors this year for this event. Our wonderful friends at the Orange Bowl who said, let's make this happen. They host not only the Orange Bowl but the National Championship game this year and do a fantastic job. Our good friends from Atlanta, Troutman Sanders Law Firm, and you'll hear more from John Stevenson, but big people to step up to help us with our drive for a new Hall of Fame. XOS Digital, you'll see a lot of the good work that they do on display here today. We also have some former Hall of Famers with us, which is always very, very special. We have Don McPherson from Syracuse. Don, great to have you here. We have Marty Lyons in the Hall of Fame class of this year, great Alabama player, Jets player, and a great friend. And Marty, great to have you here. We appreciate that a lot. The NFL Vice President for Communications, Brian McCarthy. We have 3 board members here today, Vice Chairman George Weiss, Bill O'Brien, and Bill Martin. And it's wonderful of the 3 of you to take time to be here today. The head of the Football Writers Association, Steve Richardson, is here. Steve's been tasked by our board of directors to write a history of the National Football Foundation. And since we started in 1947, there's a lot to write about. Some of it could be scary at the end of the day. This may not be published, depending on what Steve comes up with. Also, just calling out some names, Michael Sachs from the Orange Bowl and Chris McCurry from XOs. We have Senator John Sampson, who's a leader in the New York Senate representing the 19th District of Brooklyn. Senator, it's good to have you with us. We appreciate that. You're in charge of looking after Marty Lyons today, and you better do a good job, or we'll have some issues. CBS coordinating producer Craig Silver, who during the course of the year does immeasurable good things for the National Football Foundation, puts a good friend. Craig, good to have you here. Leslie Ann Wade of Wade Media Management, and Heisman Trophy Trust Executive Director Rob Whalen. Thank you all for being here. As you know, each year we like to talk a little bit about the Football Foundation. We don't just reach in and say, here's how this works with Hall of Famers. Because of our board of directors and its reach of border to border and coast to coast, we feel that it's necessary to point out that the rich history of our foundation dates back to when football really did produce leaders. And the goal of our board right now is to highlight and show that football is a great sport. And what you learn from the sport are things that carry you on in life. We began in 1947 by General Douglas MacArthur, legendary coach Red Blake, and Grantland Rice, wonderful sports writer. And their whole idea was that we can promote this sport a lot more. We're going to talk about the present of football. We're going to highlight the past, and we're going to prepare for the future. And the last few years with Archie Manning, George Weiss, and this board, the effort has been to make this sport even better and to highlight the great things that come from it. The centerpiece is the College Football Hall of Fame. As we prepare to announce our new inductees today, I'd like to thank the thousands of National Football Foundation members throughout the country who have cast votes for this Hall of Fame class. I'd like to thank the NFF Honors Court, which is chaired by Gene Corrigan, past president of the NCAA, commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference, athletic director, Virginia, athletic director at Notre Dame, wonderful person, and the people give so much of their time to make sure that we have a great Hall of Fame class. A big thank you to all of them. The numbers. The game was started in 1869, and by our estimates, there are roughly 4.86 million guys who have played the game of football since that very first snap. The Honors Court has a very difficult time in choosing guys who go into the Hall of Fame. So the way you do that is you say you have to be a first-time All-American, clearly, by the accepted standings. We use a book, so there's no guesswork on this. You're either first team or you're not. And there's a lot of wonderful football players that weren't first team that are not going to get in the Hall of Fame. And a coach has to have won at least 60% of his games. And he has to have done it over at least 100 games. He has to make a difference. But you got to have that 60%. Since the first Hall of Fame class in 1951, only 914 players and 197 coaches, including today's class, have achieved the distinction of being in the Hall of Fame. Now that's not even a 1%. You go 0.0196 of the guys who have played to get into the Hall of Fame. And to give you some other numbers, we have roughly 1,500 guys that are qualified starting right now, back 50 years, who are eligible to get into the Hall of Fame. If you go 50 years and beyond, we've got another 1,200 guys, so that we have a Veterans Committee that looks and evaluates those people to see if we've passed by people that are very, very special. So to get into the Hall of Fame is something that's we think is very special, and it just means that these are truly the people that made a difference in the game. This group will be officially inducted December the 4th at the Waldorf Astoria at our annual dinner, and this promises to be a fantastic year. Last year we had a sellout crowd approaching 1,700, and the fire department of New York City has asked us to cancel 5 tables in the ballroom, which, if you know us, those are 5 very valuable financial tables. So it's really hard to move somebody that's had these tables for 30 or 40 years and say, hey, we got to move you. I'm going to leave that up to Jimmy Johnson to make those calls, and just tell him it was Jimmy's effort. We have 2 announcements to make here today prior to the Hall of Fame. One, we'd like to talk a little bit about the relocation of the College Football Hall of Fame from South Bend, Indiana to Atlanta, Georgia. And we also would like to talk about the awarding of our Distinguished American Award, which is presented again December the 4th at our dinner here in New York at the Waldorf. I'd like to ask John Stevenson to come up. John is an attorney from Atlanta, Georgia. He's been part of this project since '09 to relocate the Hall of Fame. We've had a change in the leadership effort in this project. John has jumped in a very significant is not saying it correctly, but to say that it's significant, it's been huge. Atlanta has rallied around John's efforts, and what we are trying to do, and it was the effort of Atlanta, good folks there, and our board of directors, that the College Football Hall of Fame should be a showpiece for the entire country. It should be something that celebrates not only history, but the game today. So that's a big task, and this was to be a Hall of Fame, to be self-sustaining, and it's to be something that's very exciting, constantly changing all of the time. So if you've gone to it one time, you want to go back. And all of us have been inoculated against museums. I know I was about the age of 8, that once you've seen it, you've seen it. So with that as a motto, our idea is to create something we can use all of the time. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to John, who is the head of Atlanta Hall Management from Atlanta, and just to give you a brief overview of what we are creating at the Hall of Fame in Atlanta. John.
Thanks, Steve. All right. Thanks very much, Steve. It's an honor to be here. Personally, it is particularly an honor because, as I told Coach Johnson earlier, both my parents are from Dallas, so I was trained to be a Cowboys fan, but I was born in Atlanta, so I grew up a Falcons fan. So to share the stage with these two gentlemen is personally very exciting for me. It's also very exciting to have worked with Steve and the National Football Foundation's board, initially as an advisor to the project, but as of December as the leader of the project and facilitating all the good work that's going on in Atlanta to relocate the hall to the Centennial Olympic Park Tourism District in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a tremendous opportunity. The city and the state, the business community, and certainly our college football fans, of which there are many in Atlanta and the surrounding areas, are very excited about the move from South Bend. The site that we have secured, I would challenge you to find a better 2 acres in the country for this program. Of course, I'm biased. But if you're familiar with Atlanta, it is directly adjacent to the Georgia World Congress Center Georgia Dome complex and directly across the street from Centennial Olympic Park. In the Georgia Dome, of course, we host the SEC Championship every year. We have the Chick-fil-A Bowl. We have the Chick-fil-A kickoff games. We have the Atlanta Falcons. We have the Georgia State Panthers, all playing in that facility. And just up the road, 10 blocks, you have, of course, Georgia Tech. 60 miles east, there's another university that I'm sort of partial to, but Steve doesn't let me talk about the Bulldogs, so I won't talk about the Bulldogs. But just the football traffic alone to that district down there is pretty incredible. But outside of just that football traffic, the district that this Centennial Park area has become is really a tourist destination. Within a 5-minute walk, you have the Georgia Aquarium, the World of Coca-Cola, CNN Center, the Imagine It Children's Museum, and numerous restaurants and businesses that all drive foot traffic and eyeballs and college football fans and non-college football fans to downtown Atlanta, which is what makes this opportunity so exciting because it will provide the national showcase that Steve talked about. We've done a lot of hard work, sort of in a quiet period over the last 5 months, retesting and reconfirming a lot of our studies and assumptions about what we should expect down there, confirming a revenue positive, sustainable business model so that we build a facility that sufficiently honors the Hall of Famers and is sufficiently worthy of the site that we've secured from the state and the city of Atlanta. It will be a facility that first and foremost honors and celebrates the Hall of Famers, but also will be a place where people can come from all over the country and reconnect with that passion that they associate with college football. we want every college football fan to make their way there and then make their way back again. And we may even create some new college football fans down there that will come to this place, by accident, because they were down in Atlanta for another reason and they walked in and are introduced to the great game of college football. So I hope you'll all watch with anticipation and be with us and come see us in 2014 when we open the doors.
Thank you, John. We're excited about this, and Bill Martin, our board member, made it real clear to John that Bill said, just tell him to put a shovel in the ground. And so we anticipate being open by fourth quarter of 14. So it's going to be exciting. So John, thank you. Thanks for joining us. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Burke Magnus, the ESPN Senior Vice President for College Programming, to announce an award that we will give at our dinner this year. Burke is not only significant in his role in collegiate athletics, but he's a member of our awards committee. And this is a very important committee for us that chooses the big award winners at the start of the year. And then in October, the awards committee is tasked with the idea of determining the scholar athletes for this, for the coming year, and for the year that we're in. As you know, we give the William V. Campbell Trophy, which a lot of people call the academic Heisman. And we're being asked by the collegiate community to do more in the whole scholar athlete program. And Burke serves a very good role and a very important role in that. And at this time, I'd like to ask Burke to come on up and talk about the winner of the Distinguished American Award from the National Football Foundation for this year. Burke.
Thank you, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks, Steve, for your introduction. I was born a New York Giants fan, so I don't share the same enthusiasm, Coach. I'm kidding.
With Strahan, I have to enjoy the Giants
Yeah,
myself.
exactly right. He keeps you honest. But congratulations to you and Steve, to you as well on your great honor. The National Football Foundation continues to help promote and honor the sport that we all love, and I'm proud to serve on their awards committee, as Steve noted. I appreciate the opportunity very much to be here today, and I would like to recognize Jack Ford, who is the chair of the awards committee, for his great leadership as we go through what is an amazingly difficult process every year of determining a lot of the major awards for the National Football Foundation. The task of picking the scholar athletes is one of the more gratifying and rewarding experiences that I undertake every year. These kids are so impressive that it's truly a tough job to pick them and to select them for their, based on their play on the field, but also their incredible academic achievements. Before Jesse reveals the names of the 2012 Hall of Fame class, we're going to announce the winner of the Distinguished American Award. First bestowed in 1966, the Distinguished American Award is presented on special occasions when a truly deserving candidate emerges. It's one of the most prestigious awards presented by the NFF, and the honor recognizes an outstanding person who has maintained a lifelong interest in the game, exhibited enviable leadership qualities, and made a significant contribution to the betterment of amateur football. Past recipients of the Distinguished American Award include Vince Lombardi, Bob Hope, Jimmy Stewart, Pete Rozelle, Pat Tillman, Alan Page, T. Boone Pickens, Billy Payne, Tom Brokaw, and many, many others. The list goes on. Quite a notable group for sure. This year, it's my privilege to announce that we are extending the award's rich heritage by adding current ESPN Executive Chairman George Bodenheimer's name to the list. It's a true honor for me to announce George, obviously, as the recipient. Through my 17 years at ESPN, George has been a mentor to me, a friend, and of course, my boss at the end of the day. In his 30-plus years at ESPN, including more than a decade as president and his current role as chairman, he has done so much for collegiate athletics. He's always been focused on ensuring that sports fans, and in particular college football fans, remain the primary beneficiary of our efforts at ESPN while balancing the needs of our key stakeholders, rights holder partners, and customers. George is the ultimate team player, For those of you who know him, you know that he's a very humble individual, but his creativity and leadership have helped redefine and enhance the sports fans' experience in this country and around the world. George is a much deserving recipient of this award, and we look forward to celebrating his accomplishments at the annual awards dinner in December, when he formally accepts the award. So I'd like to extend my personal congratulations, but certainly a big congratulations on behalf of the entire awards committee and the NFF to George. And now I'll turn it back to Jesse for the Hall of Fame presentations. Thank you.
Thanks, Burke. Well, certainly George Bodenheimer is he is a bona fide pioneer and very deserving of this award. Mr. Bodenheimer will be on hand December 4th here in New York City at the 55th annual NFF annual awards dinner, and he'll be sharing the stage with all of the inductees that we're about to announce in the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame class from the Football Bowl subdivision. Before we get to announcing the class, I'll give you a couple statistics on this year's class. The 2012 College Football Hall of Fame class compromises 11 consensus first-team All-Americans, 5 Conference Players of the Year, and the class is represented over 5 decades of football. Now, with respect to coaches, we have 6 conference champions, 2 national champions, one sitting right beside me. We have 33 bowl appearances and 28 top 5 finishes. It's a very impressive class. So let's begin. First up in the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame, Charles Alexander, an LSU tailback from 1975 to 1978, and truly one of the great runners of his era. Alexander dominated the SEC in the late 70s, earning the nickname Alexander the Great. He left Baton Rouge as the most accomplished rusher in SEC history, holding the league's career records for rushing attempts, yards, and touchdowns. He became the first back in the SEC history to break the 4,000-yard barrier, and he recorded 40 rushing touchdowns. He earned consensus All-America honors in 1977 and again in 1978, and he left Baton Rouge with 27 school records. LSU's Charles Alexander to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Otis Armstrong, a Purdue halfback from 1970 to 1972. One of the top runners of his era, Armstrong left Purdue owning Big Ten MVP honors, first-team all-conference accolades, and the league's all-time rushing record. In 1972, he was a consensus All-American, and Armstrong set the school record and conference record for career rushing yards that placed him 6th in the NCAA history books at his career's end. Armstrong's senior campaign remains the best in Boilermakers history with 1,361 rushing yards on 243 carries, and he nearly had 2,000 all-purpose yards. He still holds the school record for career carries. Purdue's Otis Armstrong also to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Steve Bartkowski, quarterback at the University of California from 1972 to 1974, and one of the best signal callers in a long line of Pac-12 passers to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Bartkowski earned consensus All-America honors by leading the nation in passing yards in 1974. He also set the single-season record during his senior campaign by attempting 325 passes and accumulating more than 2,000 yards of total offense. He was universally acclaimed as the best quarterback in the West following his senior season, and his 4 300-yard passing games set a school record and still rank among the top 5 in Golden Bears history. Cal's Steve Bartkowski entering the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Hal Bedsole, a split end at the University of Southern Cal from 1961 to 1963. Ahead of his time as a big play threat, Bedsole helped College Football Hall of Fame coach John McKay and USC win the 1962 national championship, catching 2 touchdown passes in the title game. During his 62 consensus All-America campaign, he set school records in the single-season receiving yards and became the first player in USC history to top 200 receiving yards in a single game. The 2-time All-Pac-8 honoree led the men of Troy in scoring in 1961 and again in 1962, and he set a school record by averaging more than 20 yards per reception for his career. Can you say big play threat? Southern Cal's Hal Bedsole to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Dave Casper, a tight end at the University of Notre Dame from 1971 to 1973. Cited by Hall of Fame coach Ara Parseghian as perhaps the greatest athlete he ever coached, Casper helped the Fighting Irish to the 1973 National Championship as the team's offensive MVP and co-captain. He earned consensus All-America honors in 1973 while being named an NFF National Scholar Athlete, a COSIDA Academic All-American, and a recipient of the NCAA Postgraduate Scholarship. A versatile asset for the Irish, Casper also saw action at split end, offensive tackle, and along the defensive line during his time in South Bend. He's also a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Notre Dame's Dave Casper to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, someone I idolized growing up, Ty Detmer, the quarterback of BYU from 1988 to 1991. Detmer left BYU as one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in college football history, claiming the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, 2 Davy O'Brien Awards, and 59 NCAA records during his time in Provo. Twice named a consensus All-American, Detmer's more than 15,000 career passing yards, 121 touchdowns were NCAA bests at the time, and he still holds 9 NCAA records. The 3-time All-Conference performer helped lead the Cougars to 3 conference titles, 4 bowl games, and 3 AP Top 25 finishes. BYU's Ty Detmer to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Tommy Kramer, a quarterback at Rice University from 1973 to 1976. Kramer is one of only 2 quarterbacks in college football history to earn consensus All-America honors for a sub-500 team since 1970. See, we always find the positives in these things. He finished 5th in the Heisman voting in 1976, and he led the nation in passing yards and yards of total offense. Both marks ranked 2nd in the NCAA single-season history at the time. The 1976 Southwest Conference Player of the Year became the first player in league history to top 3,000 yards of total offense in a single season, while also recording 4 of the top 8 passing performances in Southwest Conference history. Rice's Tommy Kramer to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Art Monk, a wide receiver at Syracuse University from 1976 to 1979. During his remarkable career, Monk earned first-team All-America honors in 1979 and helped the Orange to its first bowl game in 13 seasons. He led the team in receiving 3 consecutive years and averaged nearly 18 yards per reception as a senior. With nearly 2,000 career receiving yards, Monk set school records for receptions in a game. Monk also returned punts and kickoffs for the Orange, totaling 75 returns for more than 1,100 yards. He's also a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Syracuse's Art Monk to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Greg Myers, a defensive back at Colorado State from 1992 to 1995. The winner of the 1995 Jim Thorpe Award, Myers claimed as many decorations off the field as he did for his stellar performance on the field. A 2-time first-team All-American, he became the first player in WAC history to earn all WAC honors 4 times, and he holds the league record with 7 all-conference selections, 4 as a defensive back, 3 as a return specialist. As a defensive back, he totaled 295 tackles and 15 interceptions. A 1995 NFF National Scholar Athlete, Myers was named to the 2-time Academic All-American team. Colorado State's Greg Myers to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, a mountain of a man, Jonathan Ogden, an offensive tackle from UCLA from 1992 to 1995. Ogden established himself as the cornerstone of the Bruins attack as a 4-year starter during his time in Westwood. A unanimous All-American and the winner of the 1995 Outland Trophy, Ogden allowed just 1 sack as a senior. He won the Morris Trophy as the Pac-10's top offensive lineman and the UPI Lineman of the Year award. Playing for College Football Hall of Fame coach Terry Donahue, he helped the Bruins win the Pac-10 title in 1993. Ogden's number 79 jersey is one of only 8 to be retired by UCLA. UCLA's Jonathan Ogden entering the College Football Hall of Fame. Next, Gabe Rivera, a defensive tackle at Texas Tech from 1972 to 1982. The most accomplished defensive lineman in Texas Tech history, Gabe Rivera was a consensus All-American as a senior in 1982. Carrying the nickname Senior Sack, Rivera averaged 80 tackles per season from his defensive tackle spot. During his All-America campaign in '82, he compiled 107 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 25 quarterback pressures, and 8 pass breakups. He was named twice an honorable mention All-American as an underclassman and earned all Southwest Conference honors in 1981 and 1982. Texas Tech's Gabe Rivera to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Mark Simoneau, a linebacker at Kansas State from 1996 to 1999. A two-time All-American, including first-team consensus in 1999, Mark Simoneau stands as possibly the greatest defender in Kansas State history. Simoneau holds a school record with 251 career unassisted tackles, and he ranks third in school history in total tackles and tackles for a loss. The 1999 Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year also notched 15.5 sacks. He's a three-time first-team All-Big 12 selection. He led Kansas State to one of its greatest stretches in school history with 3 top 10 AP finishes. Kansas State's Mark Simoneau to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next, Scott Thomas, a safety at the Air Force Academy from 1982 to 1985. A consensus first-team All-American in '85, Thomas led the Falcons during one of the most successful four-year runs in Academy history, including the school's first conference title with a 12-1 record and a number 5 final AP ranking. Air Force amassed a 38-12 overall record and 4 consecutive bowl wins during his stay in Colorado Springs. He recorded 221 career tackles, 10 picks, and an average of nearly 29 yards per kickoff return. He gained national attention in 1991 during the Gulf War in Iraq after his plane went down in enemy territory. Air Force's Scott Thomas to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, John Wooten, an offensive guard at the University of Colorado from 1956 to 1958. Described as a quick, agile tackle who provided bone-crunching leading blocks, Wooten blazed the path for others to follow as one of the first African Americans to earn first-team All-America honors at the lineman position. Part of one of the most powerful rushing attacks in the 50s, Wooten's efforts placed the Buffaloes in the top 12 nationally all 3 years that he was in Boulder, while leading the nation with more than 322 yards per game back in 1957. The 1957 All-Big 7 performer also saw action on the defensive line. He currently serves as executive director of the Fritz Pollard Alliance. Colorado's John Wooten to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Coach Phillip Fulmer from the University of Tennessee. With an all-time record of 152 wins and 52 losses, Fulmer guided the Volunteers from 1992 to 2008 and claimed the very first BCS National Championship game in 1998 while receiving National Coach of the Year honors. They beat us, by the way, in overtime that year. Under his leadership, Tennessee finished in the AP Top 25 in 13 of 17 seasons, and they appeared in 15 bowl games. The owner of 2 SEC championships and 7 SEC East titles, Fulmer was 5-0 against the nation's #1 ranked team and trails only College Football Hall of Fame coach General Robert Nealon on Tennessee's all-time wins list. He coached 70 first-team All-SEC performers and 2 Campbell Trophy winners, Peyton Manning and Michael Munoz. Tennessee coach Phillip Fulmer to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Coach Jimmy Johnson. During his 10-year head coaching career at Oklahoma State and Miami, Jimmy Johnson won 70% of his games from 1979 to 1988. Starting off in Stillwater, he won Big 8 Coach of the Year honors his first year and led the Cowboys to 2 bowl games. At Miami, Johnson won 52 of 61 games and made 5 New Year's Day bowl appearances. During his final 4 seasons in Miami, he posted a remarkable 44-4 record, including 4 top 10 finishes, 2 national title appearances, and of course the 1987 national crown at the Orange Bowl. He coached 2 future College Football Hall of Famers as well, and a Heisman Trophy winner. Oklahoma State and Miami coach Jimmy Johnson to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. And finally, Coach Rc Slocum from Texas A&M University. With an all-time record of 123-47-2, Rc Slocum is the winningest coach in Texas A&M in Southwest Conference history. A 4-time National Coach of the Year honoree, Slocum's Aggies dominated the Southwest Conference from 91 to 94, winning 3 league titles, boasting a 22-game league winning streak, and a 28-0-1 overall conference record. Slocum led the Aggies to 11 bowl games, 10 AP Top 25 finishes, and the school's lone Big 12 crown back in 1988. He retired as college football's 6th winningest active coach. Texas A&M coach Rc Slocum to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. So there we have it, the 2012 Football Bowl subdivision inductees into the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame. To recap, the 2012 inductees are Charles Alexander, LSU, Otis Armstrong, Purdue, Steve Bartkowski, California, Hal Bedsole, Southern Cal, Dave Casper, Notre Dame, Ty Detmer, BYU, Tommy Kramer, Rice, Art Monk, Syracuse. Greg Myers, Colorado State. Jonathan Ogden, UCLA. Gabe Rivera, Texas Tech. Mark Simoneau, Kansas State. Scott Thomas, Air Force. John Wooten, Colorado. Coach Phillip Fulmer, Tennessee. Coach Jimmy Johnson, Oklahoma State and Miami. And Coach Rc Slocum, Texas A&M. We're now actually going to get the opportunity to hear from two inductees that are obviously here with us today. I'd like to start with Steve Bartkowski. If you can talk a little bit about what today means to you.
Up here?
Anywhere you want.
All right. How about if I just stay seated? It's just harder and harder the older I get to stand up. When I've been seated for a long time, I'll just stay right here. Obviously, a tremendous honor. When Steve called last week to inform me, I thought maybe he had the wrong number. After 38 years of removed from my college football experience, I thought maybe it could have been a figment of my imagination what I did at Cal, or maybe somehow, some way, he just had gotten the wrong guy and contacting him. But anyway, it was an absolute honor, and I was humbled by it. Especially now that I hear some of the guys that are going to be inducted along with me in this class. Absolute thrill. You know, one of the highest honors I've ever received, and I'm very grateful for it. The National Football Foundation, Steve, your group, Matt, you guys do a tremendous job, and I'm glad to be a part of the family.
Before there was Aaron Rodgers, there was Steve Bartkowski. And I'd like to give Coach Jimmy Johnson an opportunity to talk about today's announcement, what it means to you.
Well, obviously, I'm honored to go into the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame. You know, people for years have asked me to compare professional football and coaching in professional football and coaching in college football. And while the winning back-to-back Super Bowls at the Dallas Cowboys was rewarding, the most fun I had in football was in college. You know, coaching the undefeated national champion at Miami, getting my start and going to a couple of bowl games at Oklahoma State. But on top of that, playing for an undefeated national champion team at University of Arkansas. You know, being part of a coaching staff, being an assistant with some great Oklahoma teams and Pittsburgh teams. And even to this day, even though I work in professional football with Fox NFL Sunday, every Saturday, you know, I fly out to L.A. and I've got 3 TVs set up. Terry Bradshaw, my best friend, Terry and I sit there, watch you, and we have college football all day long, and we'll start at 10 o'clock in the morning watching college football, and we won't turn the TVs off until that night. That's how we prepare for our pro show the next day. So anything that you might quip on Saturday, we might use on Sunday. But that's how we feel about college football. It was a great experience for me. I loved it. Obviously, you know, well, I said, you know, the most fun time of my life was my days at University of Miami. Now, I've changed that. The most fun time of my life is right now. But one reason why it was so much fun, when you lose 2 regular season games in 4 years, that's a lot of fun. Yeah. And so we had a hell of a time at Miami, and I'm very honored.
I'd like to open up the opportunity for any media here in the immediate audience, if you have questions for either Steve Bartkowski or Coach Johnson, to go ahead.
Yeah, Dick Weiss from the Daily News, Jim. I just was wondering about playoffs. I mean, what would it have been like to win playoffs if you were there?
Well, if we'd have had playoffs at Miami, I'd have probably won another couple of national championships. And if we'd have had replay, we'd have probably won another one, and Notre Dame wouldn't have had one. But anyway, that's another story. I'm sure Lou Holtz would disagree with me on that one. But having experienced both of it, I love the playoff system. I love being able to win it on the field, you know, doing it in professional football. And I've always been one that, as much as I love the bowl system, and I think as long as you could incorporate it within the bowl system, because I mean it's a great experience. The one thing about the bowl system, and you know, being at Oklahoma State, and I told the story this morning, about my first opportunity at Oklahoma State when we were building a program going to the Independence Bowl, and they were just getting started. I mean, even though I had to pull money out of my wallet to buy some hamburgers for our after-the-game dinner, that was our party, it was a great, great experience. And so, you know, so many individuals, coaches and players at the collegiate level to go to that bowl game and all the fans to experience that, I think is a positive. So if you could have a playoff system that worked within the bowl system, I think you'd have the best of both worlds.
Lloyd Carroll, just to follow up Dick's question, Steve, and I guess Jesse, you can answer this one too. Is it really fair, though, to scholar athletes to take more time away from school to be participating in a bowl playoff series?
Jesse, you might want to handle this one. I went to sports and played school at Cal, so I might not be the most qualified guy to answer that one. But no, I think it's tough. You know, I sort of agree with Jimmy. I think if it can be incorporated into the bowl system, it makes a lot of sense to have some sort of a Final Four face-off at the end of the year. And you know, I mean, basketball's done pretty good with that. I know the logistics are a lot different in football, and the wear and tear on the body, you know, again, that's another thing that has to be taken into consideration. But, you know, I would like to see the computers taken out of the game and it settled on the field, I think, as most college football fans would.
You know, to add to that, I've just always been confused why student athletes in the football championship subdivision can play 15 games through a playoff process to become national champions. And as soon as it comes around to the football bowl subdivision, people say, well, you can't play that many games. It's taken away from school. I mean, we've already have a standard of that in one league we see already. And I think one reason so many people, I think, like this Final Four, quote-unquote, scenario, this +1 scenario, is that it's potentially it's a 15th game for two teams. And I think if you can incorporate it in the bowl games, and you can play that first playoff round late in December, and then 14 days later, play that national championship game, I think it still kind of fits a model with respect to timeline.
Hey, this is Tom Nondorf with Touchdown Illustrated. And Coach Johnson, I'm just looking at these guys we were just hearing about. Of course, you got Steve and Dave Casper, Art Monk. You get all these guys in their prime, and let's say put them with a bunch of average, decent guys. Can you win a national championship with them?
Well, I'll just say this. When I was at University of Miami, I thought I was a pretty good coach because we won a lot of games. And I went to the Dallas Cowboys, and we had our first workout. And I was kind of taken back a little bit. And so then I started traveling around the country, you know, going to different schools to evaluate their talent so that we could get ready for the draft. And I realized they didn't have as many good players as what we had at Miami. And that's what wins games. Now, but not only individuals that are talented. The people that we're talking about here are talented in other areas as well. You know, one of the things that we did at Miami, probably one of the things I'm most proud of, when taking players from all walks of life and all different kinds of background, when I first went there, the graduation rate was 33%. The graduation rate at Miami when I left was 88% because of the academic support system that we put into place. And it has improved since then. So I think the people that we're talking about here are not just good football players. And it takes more than just good football players to win games, and especially to win championships. You have to have good people. And these are special individuals as well as being great football players.
Hi, John Walters at the Daily. Coach Johnson, this is for you. First, I can't believe it's actually, this is the day. I thought this would have happened 5 to 10 years ago for you, to be honest.
That's what I told Steve Hatchell.
Everybody makes I'm coming from a person who doesn't want the Final Four, by the way, but how long until we're having an 18 playoff? I mean, seriously, do you really think it's just going to stay at 4?
I think Jesse would be better equipped to answer this question.
Everything's just getting thrown my way in the middle here. I just came to announce the class. You know, I think another reason so many people like the 4-team models because I think they then believe it doesn't devalue the regular season. That's one point of contention that everybody talks about with this playoff format. If you take away meaningful regular season games, that's something that hurts. I think at 4 teams, the top 4 make it in. I think it still makes regular season games very, very meaningful. Teams still cannot afford to lose a game. Certainly can't afford to lose 2 games if you expect to be in the top 4 at the end of the season. There's always going to be an argument for that 5th team that's knocking on the door saying, whoa, we should get in rather than the 4th. But I think you really compound that problem if all of a sudden that model moves to 8 teams, 16 teams, 32 teams, whatever it is, you really then devalue the regular season.
This is a question for all of you guys. What do you guys think of, obviously conference realignment has gone crazy over the past year. What do you guys think of conference realignment, and where do you think college football will be conference-wise in the next 10 years?
Jesse?
That's you, Jesse. That's everybody.
Once again. Well, it was funny. You know, I remember a whirlwind offseason last year where we seemed to talk about it all the time. There was obviously a lot of movement. And, you know, where do I see college football in 10 years? I hope it's not mega conferences. You know, just as a former player and as a fan of college football, I'm very tied to the traditions and the rivalries. And the one thing I see that we're losing with all this conference realignment is some of these great games. I mean, we're not going to see Texas A&M again for you know, maybe a long time. And even West Virginia moving to the Big 12 Conference. You know, the Backyard Brawl was one of my favorite games each and every year to watch. And it's unfortunate. Missouri leaving the SEC, I mean, an historic rivalry played over 100 years with Kansas that not a lot of people look at and not a lot of people circle on their calendar, but that affects a lot of people. And I think as fans of college football, it's really unfortunate. Certainly that there's financial reasons and there's geographic footprint reasons and there's a lot of other reasons for a lot of this realignment that we see. I don't know where it's going to be in 10 years. I hope it's not mega conferences. And you know, I was happy that it kind of settled down, and now, of course, we see recently, you know, rumors now that Florida State may be moving from the ACC, and you wonder some of, you know, the effects of that if that in fact happens.
Ivan Mazel with ESPN.com. Steve, Jimmy spoke about the fun he had at Miami. When you look back at your college career and a very long pro career, how does, you know, what does that make you think of in terms of what your college experience was?
Yeah, I really probably was remiss in not mentioning some of the things that came first to my mind when Steve came with the phone call last week, drawn back to my teammates. You know, we all know football is the ultimate team game, you know, and I had a great group of guys that were around me at Cal. Chuck Muncie, Wesley Walker, you know, Howard Strickland. We had some good football players, an offensive line that was pretty solid, kept me standing upright, and it was fun. I mean, it was fun. I was there because I wanted to be there, not because somebody was paying me a large amount of money to go out and take the field. The camaraderie, you know, just the things that really kind of mean the most to a young fella. You know, the encouragement from brothers, you know, the guys that are, you know, it's really a brotherhood, and you're in it together. You lose some of that at the next level, and I know it was lost on me for the first 3 years. I spent more time in Piedmont Hospital than I did on the field for the Atlanta Falcons, so that wasn't very much fun. But you know, at the end of the day, I look back with great fondness on my college years at University of California. It was just a wonderful time. And Steve's call last week brought back a lot of great memories.
Coach, where do you stand on this issue of concussions?
Well, I think we're all attracted to the sport because of the violent nature. But by the same token, we all have to understand that there are medical concerns. And we don't want the game to ever get to where, players leave the game and they're injured, to take away the quality of life. And I think everything that we can do to make the game safer, and I think that's what they're trying to do in professional football as well as collegiate football, is to make the game safer. If it means taking away some of the violent hits, then the safety of the players outweighs, the attraction. And so it is a concern. The only thing is, I think some of the players have to understand that they played in an era that they didn't have the expertise as far as preventing some of these injuries. And so I think they have to understand that. I mean, so many times today in all walks of society that the first thing somebody wants to do is say, get me an attorney, I want to sue. And so I don't like seeing lawsuits. But by the same token, I think everything that we can do to prevent these concussions and to make the game safer, that's what we should do, even if it takes away from the violent nature of the game.
With that question in mind, where do you think there will be ever a situation where they go too far, where it's basically equivalent to touch football? Where do you see football going over the next 20, 30 years in terms of how physical it is?
I think that there will continually be changes. Bill Belichick came down fishing with me a few weeks ago, and we were talking about it. I think the increase in the statistics throwing the football. Steve, you'd love throwing the ball now because those receivers go across the middle. They're not afraid to get hit.
I'd still be in the league.
Wait, nobody hit you anyway. You're too pretty to get hit.
That's right.
But yeah, I think it's opened up the passing game, and so there's going to be changes. But I think the changes are for the betterment of the sport, to make it safer. But there's going to be continual changes in the sport to make it safer.
We have time for one more question. Well, congratulations to each member of the new 2012 College Football Hall of Fame class. The NFF is proud to celebrate all of their accomplishments by forever immortalizing them in the Hall of Fame. And we'd like to give special thanks to both Steve Bartkowski, Coach Jimmy Johnson, for being here with us today. We'd like to thank our hosts, Nasdaq, as well as the Orange Bowl, the law firm at Troutman Sanders, and XOS Digital. And also a thanks to our production partner, Brandbridge Limited. For all of the media here with us today, watching online live as well, thank you for your interest in today's event. And if you'd like further information on the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame class, you can go to www.footballfoundation.org. Members in the media, you're now welcome to approach both Steve Bartkowski or Coach Jimmy Johnson if you have interview requests. And of course, everybody's welcome to stay for lunch as well. Thank you for being with us here today.